Grief and Wellness by Nicole Wolf. Wellness in society is shaped in many ways. For example, activities that the majority of a culture participates in, called social practices, can shape our idea of wellness. One social practice that many of us know of, and some all too well, is overeating on the Thanksgiving holiday. This social practice can have effects on our physical wellness. Also, spirituality can shape our idea of wellness by affecting our emotional wellness, making us feel peace or guilt. Spirituality can have both positive and negative effects on our wellness. For example, spirituality can bring many people hope, creating balance in their emotional health and a positive feeling of security and peace. It also can create some very isolated and extremist ways of thinking, negatively impacting our social wellness. Society itself can be shaped by wellness. For example, the emphasis on physical health in our culture has helped create a strong stigma against mental health. Society has noticed and is starting to raise awareness on emotional and mental health through awareness events and campaigns. This demonstrates how the idea of wellness can be a force for social change. Also, there's much research in the field of psychology that focuses on the connection between our emotional and physical health. This demonstrates how our idea of wellness affects the research and jobs in the psychology field. Wellness is also affected by technology. Emerging technologies in our society have the potential to improve wellness by making it easier for individuals to engage in healthy activities. For example, the Fitbit is a piece of technology that fits around your wrist, which serves the purpose of tracking your physical activity throughout the day and reminding you when you need to engage in more activity to stay healthy. You can see how wellness is affected by many things. For the rest of the presentation, I will be focusing on the effects of grief on wellness. Grief affects our wellness when we feel intense sadness, anger, depression, shock, or even denial in the face of losing someone or something that we care a lot about. Grief can have a substantial effect on our wellness due to the psychological and emotional stress it creates. The issue with grief is the way the stress can have a cascading effect on other dimensions of wellness. For example, grief affects our physical wellness by creating more of the stress hormone, cortisol. This hormone puts our body on the defense, and too much of it can even make us sick. Anyone can be affected by grief. Most people affected by grief have experienced the loss of a loved one. Studies even show that people can experience grief in major life changes as well, such as a new job or moving to a new home. It is important to be aware of the different life events that can cause grief for someone. This enables you to recognize when someone's wellness might be affected by grief and the ways you may be able to support them. Of course, it can help you personally walk through grief of your own one day. Grief impacts many different people in different ways. Sometimes individuals experience grievances so strong that it turns into trauma. For example, when grief after a loss is prolonged and strong enough to affect everyday functioning, it is considered trauma. Trauma can cause chronic physical pain, such as headaches, irritable bowel syndrome, and fibromyalgia. Trauma can also cause chronic fatigue and the development of psychological disorders, such as eating disorders, anxiety disorders, depression, and addictions. As you can see, grief can inhibit our wellness in many ways, and there are many strategies for overcoming grief and finding wellness. One strategy is the use of art therapy. Art has shaped our ideas of wellness for centuries, depicting what wellness and health mean to us. Art therapy is the use of art and the creative process to engage in one's feelings and create self-awareness, resulting in healing in different mental health struggles. Basically, art is an activity that can be engaged in to better connect with our senses and emotional awareness, helping individuals heal from grief. Grief will always affect wellness, but there are ways we can find support for our grief that can lessen the effects and prevent it from getting worse. I believe that as we gain more understanding as a society about mental health and work toward breaking down the stigma of mental health and its practices, like choosing to see a counselor, the effects of grief on wellness will be more manageable. So, what do we do? Education and awareness about the effects of grief and how to support others who experience grief is one way that we can combat its effects. This can be done by creating awareness campaigns and education programs within schools and community groups about the effects of grief on wellness. The campaigns and programs can also focus on the 8 dimensions of wellness and the stigma that surrounds mental health, helping to break it down. We can also work on better and more affordable accessibility to mental health professionals. Resources can be given out with listings of where and how to get help when needed, and lobbying for more coverage through insurance providers and even bereavement pay from employers will be beneficial. Education, awareness, and the accessibility of mental health are important strategies that need to be implemented on all social levels, such as in homes, at schools, in the community, at workforces, and from larger associations. Implementing these strategies from different approaches is the key to effecting change. Researchers and scientists can focus on studies to assess these effects and the best ways of coping and healing from them. Historians can raise awareness of the effects of grief on wellness by highlighting history where trauma affected the wellness of more than one individual, even countries. Campaigns and illustrations can be made by artists to help educate our students and general public on the issue. The arts can also be used in therapy to help individuals who are experiencing grief. And computer software engineers can even develop an app or website designed to walk you through the effects of grief and how to accept and heal from it. The benefits of this plan include a well-rounded approach and one that adds to our knowledge of the effects of grief on wellness. Another benefit to educating people on the effects of grief is that they must first be educated on what wellness is, which we need more understanding of. And lastly, it helps raise awareness and combat the mental health stigma, which will be very beneficial to society.